here. So we're just kind of talking about this idea of I'm not musically inclined, or I'm not mechanically inclined, or I'm not, athletically inclined. So then, of course, that means, well, I can't do Tai Chi, or I could never dance, even though somebody says, well, I'll teach you, or I'll buy you lessons, or let me just show you a move. And then we have this learned resistance or bowing out. Like, no, that's just not for me. And so then the question is, like, is it actually true? If you just said, I'm 60 or something, like, well, I know I'm not musically inclined, and I kind of know me better than anybody, and it's been a long run, so there's experiences and facts to back up me saying I'm not musically inclined. Now, none of what I'm about to say probably applies to like a 6-year-old. Like, we don't really know yet. Like, give it another try, right? But when you're a grown-up and you say to me, I'm not athletically inclined, I'm not mechanically inclined, I'm not this or that, to me, it feels like maybe we just start by believing you. You probably learned that and earned it. Now, in the objective view of that, I would also say, I bet everybody's wrong that says I can't, whatever. Like, you say you can't play music, I would say, I bet you can. How it would get done might be a little different than somebody else because you have a learning disability, or you don't have use of one of your hands, or you have a lung disease, so the whole playing the flute is going to be harder or different or both than most people. Or just obviously the sort of, let's call it the disability of, I've learned that I'm not inclined to do these things. Okay, so I would say objectively, if we give yourselves enough time and persistence and a good enough teacher, let's say, that can work through the challenges, you definitely could. I think objectively, we could say that you could, but there's 2 challenges to it compared to like what we imagine the adept would be, or the talented person, or the person that's kind of just sort of, they pick it up right away, or even just the average default person that's not particularly talented or disinclined. Mm-hmm. They're kind of average. Those 2 groups of people can end up playing it, and the music teacher gets them to learn the music and sing or whatever it is. And probably the person that picks it up easily learns a little bit easier. It's an easier student for the teacher to teach. But the average person is average. The teacher probably knows how to get them dancing or singing or doing mechanical things or whatever. But the person that we're talking about, the disinclined person, that's a challenge. My argument here is that they could learn, but it will take more time. It will take more persistence. It might take adjustments to how it is you get them to learn, right? Maybe more private lessons, maybe here's a slower methodology, here's more iterations of the same lesson, because it's harder to do. So I think really what we're saying, and I think it's reasonable to say colloquially, I'm not going to learn to dance. That's not, I don't have it in me. I can't dance. I think colloquially that's true. Like, we know what I mean. But objectively, I also know I could, but I know what it would take. A lot more than the average person, way a lot more than the person who starts out talented at this. And I know it's a bumpier cobblestone road to learn it than most people seem to have, and a lot more time. So really what I'm saying is the cost to do it for me is more than I'm willing to bear. I don't want to spend 11 annoying years of really me annoying the teacher and never really feeling like I pick it up easily. So I'm going to just say I can't dance, right? But I also know, I think I could, if I wanted to give it 11 years or 4 hours of homework every night, whereas my sister picked it up like she didn't even practice, and she's amazing people. So I think it's helpful to say, particularly with an adult, like when you say, I'm not going to be a dancer, or I couldn't learn that instrument, I believe you. That's reasonable. But I also know what you're really saying is, I could if I really somehow cared enough to put that much time and effort. You could. Doesn't mean you'll be great, but you could learn a passable whatever. And people do it all the time where they can't dance, right? And they're an adult. They're 41, and I know I can't dance. I've had enough time to know I can't dance. But then they learn to dance good enough for their wedding in a year. You know, because it's important enough to put it in, because to do the father-daughter dance or whatever, your first dance, whatever happens at a wedding, they're not going to blow anybody's mind, apart from you blew my mind because I always thought you couldn't dance at all. But in terms of objectively looking at the dance, you're not amazing here. You're not going to make a career, but you made it through the thing. So I think that's an important thing to understand. Like when you say you can't play music, and people say that to me, I can't do Tai Chi, or I'm not graceful. I was like, well, yeah, that's why you're doing this. Like, I get it. Like, I didn't expect you to come here and be graceful and good at learning choreography and being slow. Like, those are not things you're likely to do. But you start Tai Chi, we'll take you along and you'll be able to do it. Will you be able to be the most amazing superstar? Probably not. What are the odds? You know, a few people will be. Would you enjoy it more perhaps if you started with a natural talent? You might. But I also see people that enjoy it more because they really earned it. And I don't know who's going to be which, but I can't predict how much you'll enjoy it based on how easy it is for you to pick up. So I figured I'd put that out there for you.